Now in here, I have one of the more controversial knife drops that we've seen in quite some time. And in 2025, for better or worse, Leatherman, known the world over for their multi-tools, has decided to jump into the knife game. And I asked you guys, which model of their fixed blades would you like to see tested here on the channel? And overwhelmingly, you voted for the Leatherman Trac, which was also the one that I was hoping you guys would vote on and the one I was most interested in. And after a few months of use, there are some aspects to the design that, let's say, oh no, could have been better executed. But that's not to say that there aren't some design attributes that really performed well and I was impressed with. And so in today's video, not only are we just going to unpack the performance level of this design, and are there some things that Leatherman could do to really stand out in a crowded fixed blade arena, or should they just head stuck with making multi-tools for the foreseeable future? We are just going to have a ton of fun discussing stuff. I want lots of comments. I'm sure you guys are going to have your thoughts, and I want to see them in the comment section. And we're just going to have a blast just talking about blades and where Leatherman's new direction sits for me, and whether or not it makes sense for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. Now, I got to kick this off by apologizing to you guys. This video took me a lot longer than I anticipated to create. And the reason for that is because when I unpacked this Trac, I was extremely underwhelmed. I was like, yeah. I mean, it's about as generic as a cereal box of Walmart brand cereal. I mean, it's just like, Leatherman is absolutely playing it safe with this design. And I mean, I get playing it safe, but when you're a company like Leatherman that's innovative, you know, giving you multiple uses for a tool, like the iconic Wave and so many of their other, you know, multi-tools that just have so much capability. So, you know, I get to work using it, and then, you know, something else would come along and it would just be more exciting. I'd put it on the shelf and be like, all right, I'll get around to it. So I literally had to force myself today. I was like, I have to get this video done, share my thoughts with you, and get it off the table and out of my mind. So, I mean, that probably doesn't say and bode well for that aspect, but not exciting, not an exciting design. I'll say the first thing that, let's get to the one thing that's bad and then good and then bad. So bad, right out of the gate, is this leather sheath. Now, this is a really well built. The density of leather, and they state that it's American leather, is very good. So that part is nice. Sheath is made in Mexico. It's fine. Buck does that with all their stuff. Sheath is made in Mexico. That's what that, I mean, that's what the sticker said right there. I thought this was an American-made sheath, though. So I have no problem with it being made in Mexico. That's not really an issue, but there's kind of like this hiding the ball, like American leather, but stitching them, just say a hand-stitched leather sheath, like, okay. So the other aspect is the carrying options before we get to that really big uh-oh. So you do get a pass-through, so you could cross-draw it. My buddy Dominic from Max Level EDC carried that on a shoulder strap of one of his sling bags while we were hiking. It stayed there, it was good. So, your average belt, you could absolutely cross-draw, carry that. So if that's your jam, that's a cool feature that they did include. Now, they do offer you just a standard drop leg, but look at how tight that is. That is gonna be very tough to get a good leather belt through. This should have had more slack, or they should have done something there. So the actual, vertical carry is gonna be pretty tough. You're gonna need a pretty short, thin belt to actually carry this properly. But here's the biggest issue. Oh no, come on. Can you guys see that? That is right there. I'm literally cutting the sheath to get it in. I am slicing a groove on that sheath. Yeah, I'm definitely notching that little tail piece right there. Not the end of the world, but I mean, it's gonna take a while, and that's gonna be dulling the blade a little bit. You're cutting leather every time you go in and out. It's quite tight. So after a couple months and at least 100 draws, let's say, if not more, I'm still digging into that leather. The button snap is fine. And one thing to their credit is that they have made this an ambidextrous sheath with 2 pass-throughs on either side, and the leather strap can be tucked and does pivot on this. So you can ambidextrously carry it cross-draw or in the vertical. That is a good thing. And maybe it was just mine that has this leather too tight and too close and all that, But ultimately, what I think Leatherman should have done to be more innovative, if they were sold on leather, do something more like what ZT did, where they gave us a nice quality leather sheath that is completely interchangeable with blade tech locks, molly locks. This entire backer can be rotated, can be removed. The cross button snap can be removed, and you can just rely on friction. You can do a ton with this, and there's just a lot more lashing options that are even molly compatible. So they could go that route, but what I think would have been even more interesting is if they had given us a good Kydex sheath, but had created a universal polymer holster for our multi-tools. Because if you're carrying a good quality fixed blade, there's a high chance you're carrying a good quality multi-tool. And then we could click in our favorite multi-tool, carry it on our belt along with the blade, or unscrew it and then attach it to our belt, giving us versatility and a cool new way to carry our multi-tools in tandem with our new Leatherman fixed blade. So that would just be one simple way that they could have come up with something, and I think that would have been really cool, and a lot of people would have been like, oh, this is neat, and like would have played into what they already are known for, their multi-tools. So that's number one. Now, if you would ask me what the big win with this design is, it's the blade from handle to tip, that portion. That's a big win, because even though it's generic, it's extremely high performing. A lot of people are going to connect with it. They have made it from handle to tip 4.3 inches, which is a very versatile size range. You're going to get a lot of use with that in a lot of different scenarios. And they decided to make it lightweight, 6 ounces for the knife itself, and rather thin at 0.14. So that's a thin blade with a shallow hollow grind on the MAGNACUT steel. So depending on what the MAGNACUT can do, depending on HRC, and we'll get to that in a minute and other things, I don't mind a shallow hollow grind. In fact, what it means is that it's extremely high performing. It is a very slicey tool, and it kind of stands out from other blades. Most are going to be a little bit thicker and have a flat or saber grind. So to have a shallow hollow grind means that you're going to be able to do, especially food prep, cleaning a fish, cleaning a game. You could totally do that with this knife. Feather stick making, it's going to really excel at. It's going to carve very well, bite into the wood extremely well. Rope, cordage, all the things that you would want to go through around camp or just on the property. You own a property and you prefer a fixed blade over a folder, those type of things. It's going to do that really well. Now, durability-wise, what does that mean? If you're going to really pound on this, especially when you have a 25-year warranty and your box says this. And we've designed and engineered our knives to be durable and useful for any situation or adventure. Okay. And surprisingly, with all the other side splitting, batoning, all I got was a little bit of either a burr or something kind of near the belly through all of the work that I was doing. And on a very thin hollow grind, that speaks to the quality of the MAGNACUT. Now that, just MAGNACUT steel in general, regardless of what you do. Now, they have on their website claimed 60 to 63 HRC. Now, that is a wide margin. I really gave them a hard time in the initial video on that because most companies will be doing like 63 to 64, 62 to 64, like something like that. And so to have 3 points of margin there is pretty unusual. And by now we've seen that MAGNACUT can perform quite well at 62 to 64 HRC. Kershaw, Hogue, many other companies are doing that now. And we get better edge retention and really don't lose that much in durability. And I think that this knife could have easily handled that type of HRC. It's not the end of the world. There are plenty that are like 60, 62, and are you and me going to notice that much of a difference when we actually go out there and use the blades? No. But it's just something to kind of be aware of. And ultimately, I want to know from you guys, is like the HRC really important to you and it's a deal breaker? Or are you like, yeah, as long as it's within the tolerances that are recommended, then I'm fine and I'm happy with it because of how you use your tools. Okay. Sheath, not so hot. Blade, good overall. Really no complaints. Not so hot on this handle for a few reasons. Now, yeah, they put a cool little Leatherman, logo right in there. They've crowned the spine. That's good. And it's symmetrical. There's no real hot spots. Here are the two issues I have. First, they chose G10 and they high polished it. So it is slick. This is going to feel like a Becker handle, like their Grivery, you know, whatever they do on all of their Becker series out of the gate. That feels budget, feels cheap. On G10, I don't like that. So it's super slick, and you're not gonna get any traction. As an example, I have here my Architect knives in G10, AK 4.5, very similar profile. We'll be talking about this in a minute for like performance and stuff. This is G10, but there's just a little bit of texture and ribbing, enough to really like give me some good grip. So that's the first part because of the slickness and stuff like that. And the second part is it's too small for the knife. In my opinion, it's too small for the knife. As an example here, we have the legendary White River URSUS 45. Almost identical in size, actually. American made. Look at how much bigger that handle is on that knife, and the girth as well. This thing is slim and short at about 4, maybe 4.1 inches from guard to the back of that bird beak where the lanyard is. And dimensionally, it just kind of looks a little off. So honestly, if they had just girthed it up a little bit and lengthened it maybe another 1/4 of an inch, and then gave us just a little bit of tread or texture, I would have been a lot more impressed with the overall performance. But it just doesn't flow for me personally, and that was really kind of the final nail in the coffin for me, along with finally cost. As we get into, I don't know, what could they have done better to make me actually excited about a Leatherman fixed blade in general? Okay, well, $300, that's what I paid for this thing right here. And that is made possible, again, by just you guys, the viewers, your views, you know, your likes, your clicks, your comments, and especially if you support over on Patreon. So, I mean, that empowers me to buy stuff like this and then, you know, give you guys real feedback, as I always do in every single video. So, $300, when we talk about that for MAGNACUT and just some of these issues that I'm having, but then you may be like, well, Aaron, what about REIFF knives? You know, REIFF knives send you blades sometimes. Yeah, this is, I believe, I had to double check my specs, $345. So $45 more than this. So you're like, well, value, dude. Okay, well, it comes down to a few things, and this is really where we start to transition to why I had such a problem with the choice of MAGNACUT and a $300 price point. The Leatherman Wave, I'm gonna use as an example, just a little over $100, I can't remember, 120 normally now, whatever it's going for, has been like a staple for the working man. You go into any sporting goods store across America, and you're gonna see one of these in there, and you can go and you know you're getting a quality tool. Yes, it's not cheap. It's not gonna cost more than a family of four's grocery bill for the week, which I just looked up, and on average is between $250 and $275 for a family of 4 in America in 2025. So you can get this, and I mean, you got 25-year warranty, and I know hard-working guys throughout my life that the Wave or one of the similar Surge, you know, whatever, is like their go-to tool, and they have it on their belt for everything, and they just get so much work done. I feel like this knife was made for knife nerds. Knife nerds who are willing to throw down $300 on premium steels, and they just went for that right out of the gate. And this is gonna be in sporting goods stores across America, and it just feels out of reach and kind of out of touch. So if they had figured out a way with some, you know, they could have designed these slightly differently, better, bigger handle, better texture, but chosen a different steel. They did not need to go with MAGNACUT for the knife nerds. Most knife people have most people, outdoorsmen and fishermen, and hunters and campers, they have no idea what steel does. Stainless or carbon, that's about it. And so if they had chose something like AEBL, like on this Rifleman, right? AEBL is used by custom makers. It's tough, it's rust resistant, you can get good edge retention. It's not mind-blowing, but it's good. I, as a knife nerd, would be like super stoked about that if they could have hit around this being like $220, I think. Right around that price, you know, if they could come in around $220 for that and eventually worked up to MAGNACUT, you know, you can get premium versions and charge $320 for the MAGNACUT versions for all of us knife nerds. Once they dialed into the designs, once they really got a foothold on the market, I think would have just been a way better choice than right out of the gate going, we are going to target the knife nerds. They should have targeted the audience that buys a Leatherman Wave. That's who they should have targeted. Around $200, different steel. You know, even if they had assembled, like the Wave is assembled in America, but there aren't enough parts to be sourced in America to say USA made on it. even if they had done that, you know, and played up on that, hey, we source stuff from all over and get the best stuff, AEBELs from Europe or LMAX or something else, and we did that so we can give you good steel, but still hit a good price point and get your hands on a, you know, a Leatherman fixed blade that goes along with your Leatherman multi-tool. That would have made just so much more sense to me than what ended up happening. So, I mean, again, guys, this is just my opinion. This is me. This is my mileage. I want to know from you guys. Maybe you own one of the fixed blades or folders from Leatherman and you're over the moon about it. I want to know why. Leave comments below. Answer that question for yourself. Are you happy with the direction Leatherman is going? Should they have just stuck with multi-tools to begin with? I really look forward to this topic from you guys. Links below for all the stuff we talked about today. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Stay equipped. Stay prepared. See you out there.